Morning to everyone, and especially Upadhyay sir, Professor Upadhyay, for being and for agreeing to address all of us through his inspiring words. Upadhyay sir is currently a professor in the Skyline University, Sharjah at UAE, and he is, as many of us already know, has an abundance of knowledge that definitely all of us are going to benefit from. Once he starts speaking, you will understand what I'm trying to say. He is a person who has not only contributed to academics in a large way, but he has always been more of a guide and mentor to most of us. And I'm so happy, sir, to have you with us. He has authored many books. He is also the editor of various important international journals. And sir has always been a part of Lucknow University, and we always love listening to him and gaining from him. So welcome to all the participants also, and I'm sure this is going to be a learning experience for all of us. So I now hand over the dais officially to Upadhyay sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's like this is what I've been saying whenever I'm back at the Lucknow University. It is like homecoming. So far, I'm away from the university and my city for the last 20 years now. And virtually, today we are meeting for the first time virtually with a large number of you listening to me, and I can see so many of familiar faces. And it is always a very emotional meeting, I should say, or moment for that matter. One of the reasons is I think I'm growing old, so the emotions are a little more pronounced as people grow older. But anyway, besides that, coming back to the topic, tourism has been a passion with all of us sitting in this meeting. And we don't view tourism only from the point of view of academics, but it may have more meaning to all of us. And that is why we are all here. And that is why this crisis has given another meaning to tourism. And we'll try to, or I will try to share my take on it and my experiences in tourism so far that I have gained. Just to give a little brief about my association, I've been a student of Lucknow University, graduated in 1980, and then did another 3 years of law, so 1983. I finally passed out from the university, and then came back again in 1995 when ITS was established. And I'm associated with that since then. And some of you may be knowing, and Anupma, for example, has been there from the very beginning. So I always have all my blessings to her. Secondly, Rizvi Saab has been there for so long. Praveen has been my student, I think in the same batch around 95, 96, 97, whatever it was. So coming back to the university has always been a pleasure. 2001, I'll start with a small story, and I think Anupma would recall that my first international visit was in 2001 when I was invited to deliver a 3-week condensed course on airlines management in Institute for Tourism Studies in Macau. In 2001, we didn't know much about Macau. Macau had just 2 years back, 1999, it had gone back to China because it was actually a Portuguese colony on lease for 400 years from China, and it had gone back to China immediately after the lease was over in 1999, like Hong Kong, for example. And the government of China promised Portuguese government that the status of a democratic setup will be maintained there in Macau. And there was a small institution that was established in 1996, which today is one of the very prominent institutions in the world as far as tourism is concerned. So they invited me somehow in 2001. And 2001 was another very interesting and important year. As everybody knows, 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened on the 11th of September, as the date suggests. And I was supposed to be traveling on 21st of September. Now, and because I was traveling for the first time internationally, I didn't have my passports or anything else. So, as luck would have it, or as fate would have it, I got my passport on 11th of September. And when I came back in the evening with my new passport in hand, NDTV was showing there is some accident happened in the World Trade Center. Some pictures were there. And we could not realize what is actually happening. And within an hour or two, or maybe within a few hours, it was the whole world came to know that it was a terrorist attack and so on. And suddenly, the topic for today becomes relevant now. 20 years back, it was a crisis and people said people will no more fly. And there were so many other suggestions of family and friends, don't fly, don't go to anywhere. You never know what is going to happen. But I was very excited to travel. So I said, okay, we'll see what happens. And ultimately in 2000, on 21st of September, I came to Delhi, and the flight was late in the night from Delhi International Airport. And when I took the flight, Air India flight, the flight was almost empty. And A310 Airbus, which has a 4-seat configuration in the middle, and three this side and three this side. It's a huge aircraft. In the middle row, they allowed us to pull up the handrests and lie down and sleep. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, when the flight took off from Delhi airport, we were sleeping because there were hardly many passengers in the flight. And that was also a little bit scary because people thought that this is what the future of aviation will be. I stayed there in Macau for 3 weeks, and I was returning somewhere around the 11th or 12th of October. Believe me, while I was returning, the same Air India flight was chock-a-block. Not a single seat was available in that flight. Now, what I'm trying to say is tourism has always been a very resilient industry. So, and that was a crisis. Of course, it cannot be compared with the crisis that we are facing today. But certainly, tourism came back to its feet, or jumped back to its feet within a few weeks, what to say more than that. And that really makes quite an interesting story about tourism. As we all know, we talk about tourism only from 1945 onwards, but the 1918 pandemic also was a great disaster. But the thing was, in 1918, when Spanish flu happened, it was not as the world was different altogether. There was no commercial air travel then. Aircrafts were being used only for very small purposes, very few, with some industrialized or Western countries, for the purpose of military operations maybe, or for cargo and so on and so forth. So that was a different world. And yesterday only I was reading somewhere that in India also millions of people died because of Spanish flu in 1918, 1919. Why? Because from the World War I, there was a ship which came and docked at Bombay airport carrying Indian soldiers. So many of them were infected. And when they came to the city, of course, that the terms that we are hearing these days, community infection and so on and so forth, that is what happened, and millions of people died. So all over the world. Now, this has happened during SARS also. Once again, I will take the same example. After a few years, when I went to Macau, SARS was there. So the institution had a person sitting in front of the gate, and we were all, our temperatures were taken, and then only we were allowed to enter inside. The students, faculty, guests, anybody. So we crossed that H1N1, and so many other such pandemics have happened, but nothing can be compared to what we are facing today. And what we are facing today puts a big question mark on the future of tourism. And as you all are aware, future of tourism means three, four components of tourism. Aviation is one part of it. Uh, Hotels and hospitality sector is another part of it, greatly affected. A large part of it is various other attractions, man-made and natural and historical, archaeological, and so on and so forth. And of course, the cruise, which has lately become a very sought after holiday, has suddenly been completely stopped, and probably the worst impact that the component of tourism industry will probably be on cruises. So how do we go about it as students and teachers of tourism? We are also greatly impacted, and when we are impacted from the point of view of our own futures. What lies in the future for us as prospective professionals of tourism and various tourism industries? There are several possibilities. I would like to just talk about a few of these with this background once again, and with this. I would say this is my mantra that tourism will come back, will jump back. It will come back. How long will it take, and in what shape will it come back? None of us is an astrologer who will be able to predict that, but certainly we can make some informed guesses, some informed estimation as to how the tourism industry will fare in the near future and in the longer future, as to how things may change. Not necessary that it may change the way we are talking about here. It may come back exactly in the same way as it was a couple of months back, or it may change for all times to come. I cannot say. But one thing is very sure. Again, taking the same example, after 9/11, all over the world, there was a fear for a repeat, So the security arrangements or security checks at airports, in the aircraft, etc., increased many fold. I have traveled before 9/11 also within the country, and I have seen people fly around the world also before that. The security checks were formalities. But now, after 9/11 and a few other such incidents later on, every international airport sometimes becomes a nightmare to board, and to hours it takes depending upon where you are boarding, especially Europe and North America. Sometimes it looks as if they are crazy doing so many security things and so on and so forth. So that has become a normal. People now understand that if you are traveling by air, you will have to go through the process of security check, whether it is baggage or hand baggage or yourself, and so on and so forth. Similarly, what I predict, I will not predict, I'm thinking that possibilities is that a screening or a temperature or a little bit of medical examination kind of a thing will become the next normal. So whenever we are traveling internationally, at least, if not, maybe not as much in domestic travel, but internationally when we travel, there is a possibility that, like security, if it takes half an hour, 1 hour for the security clearance to be completed for a particular flight, similarly, it will take another half an hour, 45 minutes, or maybe 1 hour or 2 hours for every person or every passenger who's going to board will have to be screened, whether they have symptoms or not. And some of them may be offloaded from the airport itself or from the flight itself. So that may be a likely scenario in the future. This I've just downloaded from the internet. As you can see, various industries, how badly will they be affected? And you can see the highest impact is on tourism, airlines, retail, airlines, and tourism. Retail may come back in some way or the other. Maybe it is more online sales, and the pleasure of going to malls and window shopping may be curtailed for some time, but certainly it'll be uh, impacted. Airlines, because airlines are not only, and we'll talk about that more later, airlines are not vehicles of transportation only for leisure or holidays or for vacations. They are also necessary travel is there, because the world globalization has made it almost impossible for people to stay back. Our countries are interdependent, and there is always a possibility of people moving here and there. Uh, Diplomatic movements will be there, business related movements will be there, official movements will be there. So airlines will remain in business, but of course they are impacted. Currently, they are completely on zero revenue, except maybe cargo transportation is happening, but passenger revenue is almost zero for most of the airlines around the world, international airlines around the world, and they will recover, but faster than tourism. And tourism, as far as the holidays or holiday tourism or vacation tourism or pleasure tourism or leisure tourism is concerned, will be the most negatively impacted, as we know. Now, what will happen when will it start coming back? There are several possibilities. Now, this is, I think I've already spoken about it, but you can see this is September 11 that I was talking about, in which I myself had a personal experience. Then SARS in 2003, then economic crisis in 2009, which brought tourism down to -4, because, of course, tourism is, when we teach you in the basic courses, definitions of tourism and so on. So we say spare money and spare time. So there was no spare money for people to travel during that particular time, and that impacted. But it kept on coming back up and down at an average of about 4.5 to 5% average growth has been seen in the last 10 years or so. And now we are faced with this COVID, which, as per WTO estimation, might go down 20 to 30%, -20 to 30%, which will have a very, very negative impact on the entire industry or an entire sector. I normally avoid using the term industry in singular with tourism. Either we call tourism industries or we call it sector. Sector is a better term for that matter. So from that point of view, there is, the maximum that we can see from 2000 till 2020 is -4. And the current possibility is it will go down to -20 to -30, which is very, very scary. 2020 is that scenario. 21, how will 2021 work out? Or will it be possible to recover earlier than 2021 or later than 2021? Most of these at the moment are in the realm of speculation. We cannot say anything for sure what is going to happen, especially because currently we do not have any medical protocol for either treating it or the vaccination part of it. So unless and until there is a medical protocol in place that yes, this is the medicine that can be taken or this is the vaccine that can be taken, any estimation is at best a guesstimation. It's just a guess. We cannot say it is for sure. Even the scientists are only speculating, or sometimes they are shy of speculating even because they don't know for sure what to say. So from that point of view, the scenario is not good. But I and I'm repeating that once again, using the same term, the tourism is a resilient industry. And not only that, but it comes back very, very strongly. And I'm very hopeful and I'm very optimistic about it. So my take will be that if we take one by one, air travel will change its character. So you will have disinfection happening. You will have the crew wearing not only masks, but yesterday only, after a very long time, almost 3 months, a flight was arranged by Air India and Government of India to carry back Indians stranded in the UAE. There are 200,000 Indians who have applied to the Embassy and Consulate of India to arrange for their repatriation back home. So yesterday, about 350 Indians, the first flight from Dubai left for Kochi. It reached Kochi because, as you all understand, there are a large number of South Indians, especially Keralites are there in this part of the world. So the first flight went there. And a few pictures that I saw in the newspapers today, that the Air India crew, the pilots and rest of the crew were wearing the PPEs, the full protection gear, and that is how they were handling the passengers. And because the airport was empty, it was a smaller airport from where the flight took off. That was Terminal 2 of Dubai Airport, and there no other flights were going, so they had large spaces available. What they did was every patient was screened for COVID-19. And luckily, all 360 plus passengers were negative. So now this luxury of every passenger getting tested at the airport while traveling may not be possible for future, but certainly some kind of a shorter version of this medical testing will certainly be there for future air travel. That is what I presume, because that is especially the West, which has suffered mostly. Europe and North America, which has suffered horrendously, they will be very, very scared. They have always been like, that is where I have felt so many times traveling to Europe becomes so irritating because of the strict security measures that they do at the airport. Similarly, this will be an added torture for the passenger to start with. I do not know how it will be actually working. But anyway, this is a great possibility as far as the aviation industry is concerned. As far as cruise is concerned, I do not know how is it going to impact cruise, at least for 6 months to 1 year. Because the problem with cruise is it's a large number of passengers confined into small place and living together for almost a week, 10 days, or for a few more weeks. And we have seen a few cruise ships were quarantined, or they were not allowing passengers to alight out of the ship because there were some positive cases on board, and so on and so forth. So this is going to be a big, big blow to the cruise industry. Restaurants, large number of restaurants in Dubai now, they have started putting up. Today only there was a newspaper report with a picture for sale. Now what is happening? Most of it is, some of them have adapted and doing it through home deliveries and so on and so forth. But it is changing. Now my guess about restaurants is, and this is jumping from the negative to the future positivity, is that restaurants will have to redesign themselves. Seating arrangements will have to be changed in such a way that distances are maintained. Some kind of screening at the entrance will be there to not only screen, but also to reassure those who are coming that things are fine. Disinfection of the entire property every day or 2 or 3 times a day may become a norm. Also, there is an opportunity of exclusivity. You can start thinking in terms of exclusive dinner at a particular fine dining restaurant, only for 5 people of a family, who would be screened at the entrance and then served by those who are who have been screened, and so on and so forth. So that kind of exclusivity or may become a little. Sorry. Okay. So there is a possibility it might be an opportunity for future restaurants, or at least in the near future. Though again, I'm not talking about these that they may become a permanent feature, because looking at the pictures that I saw yesterday, day before yesterday, when the liquor shops were opened in India, people would just forget about anything and start in. China is coming back very fast to normal. Howsoever you blame China for whatever it has happened, and whether America is happy or not happy, it doesn't matter. Wuhan is coming back to normal faster than anywhere in the world. So I'm more confident that things will come back to normal than talking about this, that there will be difficulty in travel and there will be social distancing inside the aircraft, where will be seated only one in a row and so on and so forth. How can the airline survive if they have 1/3 load? As most of you would be knowing, 60% occupancy of a hotel or an airline only makes it break even. Above 80%, you start making some profits. And that is why the seasonality factor, especially in hotels, has to be calculated on an annual basis, where there may be 90+% occupancy during the season, 40% occupancy during the non-season and lean period, and accordingly at an average it remains 60 to 70%. Some profits may be seen there. And we keep on teaching you all how to mitigate seasonality so that you can improve profitability. Ultimately, these are all businesses, and businesses are done for the purpose of earning profits. So if you cut down on profits, what is going to happen? Airlines have already, without pandemic, we have seen the closure of two promising airlines in India close down recently, whether it was the Jet Airways or it was earlier the Kingfisher. And we keep on listening and hearing about what has happened to Mr. Malia, where is he gone, and so on and so forth. Now, if an airline which was very promising when it started, which worked very fancifully throughout a few years, and suddenly gets grounded, the industry itself is very vulnerable. And with this kind of a crisis, of course, large number of airlines will not only be restructured from the point of view of mergers, from the point of view of some airlines will be shut down, some will be sold out, some will be merged with a larger one. The entire industry will have to be looking into their future in a different way altogether. The same will happen with hotels. However, hotels, again, as I said, airlines have some possibilities because business travel will start. Hotels also, there is a possibility of sustaining from two things. One is staycations. So many of those destinations, including Dubai, has started talking about staycations, and they have started offering reduced rates for the purpose of people within the city who can go and stay there and enjoy the facilities in exclusivity, because less number of guests are there, and accordingly some kind of usage is there. But certainly the large number of rooms that are available will not come back to normal unless and until the whole tourism industry gets back to its feet once again. So this is about the restaurants. We'll continue on that. Airlines may also get one more breather through medical tourism, which is of course confined to some places, but certainly it has an option uh, of keeping airlines afloat, because people will be traveling for medical purposes, like all other purposes for that matter. And I'll not go into too many details about medical tourism at the moment, but one of business and official and medical, these kind of travel will be there, and they may keep the industry afloat a little bit here and there. Now coming to jobs, which is the biggest concern. WTTC report only yesterday, day before yesterday, 50 million jobs at risk globally, and representing a reduction of 12 to 14% job, but much more worse scenario is what we are going to see. Back to travel or tourism for that matter. Let me come to this. Now, before I go to what the future will hold, and because we are talking about jobs, and because large number of us sitting here are thinking in terms of job losses, or if I do not have a job and I'm studying tourism, what the future holds for me. Yes. So before going to that, that is why I was telling that air travel will continue in some form or the other, for business, for medical purposes, for education purposes, for official purposes. So reduction will be there, but zero, it will not become zero. Airlines will also be there. Similarly, hotels will have some kind of business and will continue. Similarly, restaurants may have to go for restructuring. Of course, cruise may have a greater impact, because cruise was purely for leisure business. Cruises were not for any other purposes, and that is why that may have a greater impact upon that. What kind of leisure travel will come up sooner? That will be, to my mind, number one, domestic and regional tourism will increase. People will not be taking risk of traveling long haul. So India offers a very good option and possibility, because it's a large country, for domestic tourism to increase, and increase many fold, because people would like to go out. They are confined to homes. They are already bored, and they are already irritated with the thought and the experiences. And that is why there is a possibility, whenever there will be relaxation or some kind of control over the disease, there is a possibility domestic travel will flourish. People will not go far, because they will always be afraid if there is a relapse, that relapse will confine them, or they'll get stranded somewhere far, which will be a very bad condition. So many people around the world got stranded because they were tourists. Yesterday, again, taking the same example of Dubai flight, two brothers, twins from Kerala, they came to Dubai, and there was a lockdown suddenly, and they were confined and they were stranded at the airport. For the last 50 days, they have been confined at the airport. And yesterday they went back, which means they could not enter Dubai. They came to Dubai, and from at the airport itself. And this is not just a single example. All over the world, there are so many people who got stuck at the airports itself. And there are so many others who are on budget travel with no money left, staying here and there, and got caught into lockdowns. So that is a scary scenario. For that purpose, domestic and regional tourism will increase, which means in China, people will travel within China. In USA, people will travel within USA. In India, people will travel within India. Australia, yes. But what about smaller countries who do not have possibilities of domestic tourism, because they are very small? Then some clusters of regional tourism may get popular. For example, within the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, the 6 Gulf countries that I am living at the moment. So people will be traveling between Saudi Arabia to Bahrain, to UAE, to Qatar, to Oman, and Kuwait, and so on and so forth. Because within these countries, a person can travel by own vehicles. You know, they drive into, from Saudi Arabia, they drive to Dubai, they drive to Bahrain, they drive to Kuwait, and so on. So that may be another next possibility. And similarly, Europeans would not like to leave Europe and travel within Europe. Scandinavia, those the Swedens and the Norways and the Finlands, they will like to travel within their region itself and not go out. And similarly, North Americans will like to remain within North America, and so on. South East Asia, a few smaller countries may see some kind of increase in travel of local, you know, Singapore will be traveled by the Taiwanese and the Vietnamese and so on. And because some countries who will be badly affected are countries which are in isolation, far away, and are surviving only because of tourism. Maldives, for example, some of the Caribbean countries, though the Caribbeans are lucky to be closer to North America, and some of the North Americans adventurers will like to come down to Caribbeans. But yes, Maldives, Seychelles, Mexico, for example, they may suffer badly because tourism, long haul tourism will not be there. Europeans cannot go to, will not be going to Mexico. North Americans will also, for political and otherwise reasons, will not travel to Mexico. So there is a possibility of that getting impacted badly. Now, this is the near future. And I am very sure that in another 6-7 months, once there is a vaccine, once there is a, what we call, so once there is a vaccine and once there is treatment, the possibility of recovery of the sector will be fast. Now, let me come to the job scenario. Currently, because all of you are students of BBT and MTM and so on and so forth. So you are above high school, you are educated people, and you are looking to work in the tourism industry. What are such other alternatives which will continue to have some purpose, not as much from the leisure part of it, but still will have some openings and some career which is sustainable and which requires people who are knowledgeable about this? Museums, for example. Now, museums and the curators and those who are part of museum management have always had a little, they have always been skeptical to tourists or tourism management or promotion of tourism, because they feel that their objects are not for, mass viewing. People come, they touch, they don't understand what the object is and just pass there as if these are curio items. And they feel these are precious historical pieces or pieces of art or pieces of, so many precious things. So they don't want these to be open to mass tourists who are always a menace at most of the places. It is considered that they have always been an issue. So these will be these museums and such places will continue to have educational purpose, research purpose, and they will require people who can appreciate it. And who can appreciate it? Those who understand not only tourism. All of you study history, archaeology and other such things, which are part of tourism because they are attractions. So don't look at it from the point of view of attraction only. Instead, start looking at it from the point of view of its historical importance or artistic importance, and so on and so forth. And that will certainly have a large possibility of learning. Why I'm saying this is, I think, just as a suggestion, there are so many appreciation courses going online these days all over the world, including by Harvard and by Oxford and other universities in conjunction with some online platforms. They may be free of cost, and or they may be having some very nominal fees of $10 or $20 or something like that. And these are offering these beautiful courses where we gain more knowledge, not only for future to be utilized in the tourism sector when you're working there, when things normalize, but also currently to have more knowledge and try one more avenue of job or career into these sectors. So this is a thing that I wanted to share. Museums offer a very good opening. Then archaeology, of course, it is specialized. But since I belong to the first or second generation of tourism professionals or tourism academicians, large number of us came from different other streams. None of us had the privilege of having a degree in tourism. The reason is there were no degrees in tourism. When I graduated in 1980 or post-graduated in 1980, there was nothing like a tourism MTM available in Lucknow or around or wherever it is for that matter. So it was not possible, even if I had an interest, it was not possible for me to get a formal degree into that. So somebody graduated in history, somebody graduated in archaeology, somebody graduated in anthropology, somebody graduated in geography. Large number of geographers became tourism academicians later on. One of the most prominent and one of my gurus is your city guru, Professor Tejveer Singh. He was a geography professor at the DAV College, Lucknow, when he was taken to Garhwal University, and then from there he developed tourism, and he became one of the most prominent tourism academician in the country, known all over the world, with one of the most prominent journals being published from your city, tourism recreation research. So coming to that, archaeology offers, and it is not necessary that we go into a degree of archaeology or just a certification through online understanding will give us the knowledge to appreciate what is archaeology and how can we further our careers into that area. Then we have virtual tourism, of course. This has recently, even when there was no pandemic or there was no corona, virtual tourism had started taking its own roots. And it offers exciting opportunities. And a couple of months back, I was invited to a workshop by the Sharjah Innovation Council or something like that. So they had this, and there were some European professors who were computer and artificial intelligence experts, and they created this, and they were talking about how virtual viewing is important. So sometimes what happens, these virtual glasses that we wear to experience that, they can be used at the site itself, and they can be used separately also. So when they are used at the site of an archaeological site, for example, or a museum, for example, or any such natural or historical site at the Taj Mahal maybe, it will keep on telling you what kind of the background of the place. Besides that, it will also give you an opportunity to move in the right direction, stop at the right place, understand what is happening there, and so on and so forth. And otherwise also, if you are not there, for example, sitting at home, there is a possibility you may get that kind of an experience. So this is all students who may be interested in any kind of computer related artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence has become an important factor all over the world, and it is a must for the future professionals to be knowing about it. And you may be surprised, there was a free online artificial intelligence course going on in UAE. We have a Hamdan online university which was conducting that, and anybody can opt for that. Large number of our faculty joined that course, and it is just 4 or 5 weeks, 2-3 hours per week, and you get to appreciate what is artificial intelligence, and that can be combined with virtual tourism, and that is another possibility. Which, and again I'm saying, these are not alternatives, these are additionals, and they can be acquired during the lean period such as this, and they may also offer you an expertise tomorrow, even if it comes back to normal, and even if it comes back with a difference. These are potential skills and competencies that young people can acquire during this period, besides their formal degrees. These are additional online possibilities to have these skills acquired through online instructions, and this will further add value to your career prospects. Talking about negatives is quite boring. So let us talk about the positives that Corona has brought about, and I'm very upbeat about what has happened to the environment. Tourism has been accused of negatively impacting the environment, and we all know that a large part of that environmental pollution comes from air travel or airlines or aviation industries. That has suddenly started looking bright. The waste has come down. The wildlife is moving around on the roads and wondering what has happened to the humans, where are they, and so on. So this is something which is a positive. Again, nobody wants it to remain the same way, but certainly it has given a breather. Mother Earth has always been misused, overused, abused, exploited, and it takes 100 years for the planet to take revenge. So 1820, they took the earth, the environment, or nature took revenge from people, and now after 100 years, it came up with a vengeance, I can say, and they're saying, stay put, don't exploit. You have seen exploitation, including oil exploration. Suddenly, the oil is going into minuses. No takers. There are no vehicles on the road which will be using it. There is nothing happening like that. And I do not know whether it is right or wrong, whether it is fake news or true. So many times I get WhatsApp messages that we can see the Himalayas from Chandigarh, or we can see Himalayas from that places. Of course, even if it is fake, but at least that kind of confidence in the environment has come. We are able to breathe good air. We are able to see the ozone layer, a depletion of the ozone layer is getting repaired. Though some scientists say it happens because of every 10 years, it repairs itself. But anyway, whatever be the reason, the glaciers may not melt as much. The sea will not rise, and Maldives will not have the threat of getting submerged, and so on and so forth. So global warming may not happen as soon as was predicted, etc., etc. So there has been a positive side of this, which is an impact on the environment, which is quite positive. Now, what will be the future of tourism? I do not know, but yes, changes will be there. A large number of people would be traveling with some kind of a scare. People will not like to travel unnecessarily. There will be, the masks will become a compulsory attire. I just saw somebody was wearing a fancy mask with what you call different patterns on the mask. So maybe like we wear matching ties, similarly we'll be wearing matching masks on our faces. But yes, this is not a matter of you know but jokes, but certainly we can take some positives out of it, and there is a possibility the future of tourism is not as bleak. Let me assure you, the future of tourism remains very, very positive. Yes, it has taken a breather, it has taken a hit, it has taken some kind of a slowing down, whatever term you want to use. Certainly it will come back. When will it come back? It's a matter of time, it's a matter of speculation, it's a matter of medical solutions to the disease, but certainly it will come back very, very sooner than predicted. So I think this is all as far as my presentation is concerned. Maybe this is what is the future. People will maintain social distancing at natural sites also. Groups are or individuals are standing separately, far off, or whatever. Some kind of possibility is there. Yes, initial days will have some kind of paranoia. There is a possibility some kind of scare is there, but over a period of time, the normalcy will be restored. Yes, a big price is being paid. Life and economy both are paying a very big price for this. That is why we should take heart that in this industry also we will come back sooner rather than later. Thank you. Yes, you have any questions or anything? Now it is better. I've spoken a lot. Now it is your turn. Everybody can ask questions or talk about whatever you wish to. Very nice mask, Ajit Kumar.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Anupma, tell me. Your mic is muted, Anupma. Yes.
Dear students, do you have any questions related to your future, related to your doubts about your careers? You can address it now. You can just unmute yourself and ask the question, and Sir will try to answer your question to the best of your interest.
And to the best of my knowledge.
And to the best.
Sir, can I have my observation or some?
Yeah, please go ahead, Praveen. Yes.
Yeah, sir. Thank you, wonderful. Thank you, Anupma ma'am, especially for organizing this great webinar. And listening Amitabh sir is always joyful. I was very much agreed with the point you have raised about airline crews and hotel, how they will be trying to cope up with this COVID-19. My question, this is not a question, but observation in form of a question. I was discussing with many of the industry people in Delhi and students and some from tourism and non-tourism. And they were discussing that there might be a little shift of mode of transportation. People will be preferring more of a self-driven or maybe hired road transportation compared to a public transportation due to this COVID. So do you think that like in Americas, we have a long haul tours or road tours, that will be more common in India, where people will like to self-drive or take a private car and go for a longer duration of a tour and be within own region and do the domestic tourism as you were telling. So what is your say in this new trend in India?
Yes, certainly, and very, very rightly you have put up. Large number of people who will be going for holidays would be staying closer and reachable places where they can use their own transport or chartered transport, where you don't have to share that transportation whatever. But the problem is there is essential travel. And there may be a possibility, the large number of people may not have the means to exclusively have their own mode of transportation. So they will have to essentially share it. So yes, more people who have the means to have their own vehicles arranged for short or long duration or long distance travel, they will certainly prefer that. In any case, the VIP culture all over the world is the moneyed class will always have chartered their own planes and so on and so forth. They will do that. They will spend their money on that more. But those people who will have to, again taking the same example, yesterday when the flight went, there was a criticism, and it will continue to be a criticism, that the entire flight there was no social distancing. They were allowed to sit on all 3 seats. So, and the flight was full, 300 plus passengers were there. Though yes, they did test them, none of them was a carrier. But you never know what kind of surface they are touching inside the aircraft or after having been tested or whatever it is. So there is always a possibility that large number of people will have to, under compulsion, share transportation. Yes, it will reduce, it will come down. Again, with my experience in Dubai, the metro started last week, Dubai Metro. And they have put crosses on different seats. So you can sit only on those seats which are not crossed, which means you are supposed to be maintaining that. But the entrance is small. People will go inside. They will touch the railing. They will touch the hand stays and so on. So where are you going to get the virus? Only God knows. राम भरोसे ही है मामला. लेकिन फिर भी इतना तो कम से कम है कि yes, it will change a little bit. It will change a little bit, and you are very right. Exclusivity will increase. Yes, certainly. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So what are the, so may I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
So what are the possibilities of having some kind of boutique destinations? Do you think we are moving away from mass tourism and entering into a very niche kind of a tourism, which probably will have to be worked out in terms of the budget? You know, some kind of isolated sections which are not very expensive, which is affordable by some people who are not money.
Yeah, you're very right. And though I took the name of Maldives as a sufferer, but there is always an opportunity in that, because what I saw the other day, large number of isolated island countries are free of corona currently. So there is a possibility people would like to travel to those places, and they may have a restriction unless and until you have a certificate that you are not a carrier, you can come in and enjoy. So possibility of niche tourism in areas which have so far been unexplored may get a preference. So the allocentrics will have more possibilities of traveling around the globe in areas which were considered to be, they were not part of the mass tourism culture.
So probably the suggestion for the students would be that they start exploring these, isolated spots, working on it, trying to inculcate the necessary skills to specialize in these spots, become kind of exclusive guides, exclusive destination specialists. So there is a huge opportunity, and there will be a huge demand for such people also, I guess.
Of course, certainly. And you should take inspiration from your very own Pratik Hira, who has recently started this. Yes, now you can have an exclusive boat carrying you on the river, and river is such a large network of distances to be covered, and large network of rivers that we have. You can use that. And that will be exclusive also, because wherever the resorts are created, they may be very small and they may be exclusive, and they can be further developed in that way. So that is an opportunity. within the country itself, there is a large possibility of developing those areas which were hitherto not considered or not got attention that they could have earlier. And the younger generation that you are addressing to, they can be creative, they can be innovative, they can think of something which has not been thought about earlier. Like somebody can think about Airbnb, now somebody can think about something else which may be suitable to the pandemic times. Yes, certainly, very right.
So another thing is that I think homestays also will get a lot of inns, exclusive homestays.
Yes.
Probably in the suburban areas because it is closer home and I can probably with my family enjoy a exclusive holiday in homestays, which is not going to be expensive either.
Yeah, because see, in Europe, I can see a large number of countryside tourism is there, which is not in the cities. So people who are not there interested in London as a city would like to go into countryside, and there are country inns and homestays possibilities, some kind of a paying guest accommodation or some kind of that kind of an accommodation that will give them or bring them closer to the nature, as well as keep the family together without getting or interacting with a large number of people. Yes, certainly. There are several such opportunities and possibilities, yes, but it has to be thought about.
Yes, it has to be rethought. Yes.
On behalf of all the listeners and from the entire ITS family, I would like to thank Professor Upadhyay. It has always been, right from the time when I was a student, mesmerizing to listen to Professor Upadhyay. I think I would just like to quote some lines of Gulzar. ये related नहीं है tourism से, but he said somewhere कि आदमी बुलबुला है पानी का, ये टूटता भी है, फूटता भी है, फिर से उठता है, फिर से बहता है, न समंदर निगल पाया इसे, न तारीख बदल पाई है. I just wish आदमी की बजाय टूरिज्म के लिए ये लाइनें उतनी ही मुकम्मल हों. ये फिर से उठे, फिर से बहे, और जैसा कि उपाध्याय साहब ने कहा है, it has that great knack of bouncing back. I just wish it bounces back. It bounces back quickly. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
So,
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. Is there a question?
Sir, I just have a question that for tourism entrepreneurs, that would it be beneficial to develop a tourism product which is just confined to distance of 400 to 500 kilometers, likewise developing a sector in UP only? So would it be beneficial as we are selling the domestic sector likewise in Kerala or far away from here? So as the airfares will be so high according to the current situation. So would it be beneficial?
Yeah, like Anupma was telling, there are possibilities of developing niche tourism in various areas. You have to find out, it can be a farm tourism kind of a thing. It can be, in Lucknow, you can start rethinking. It was there, it has been there, but not developed to that level. Mango tourism, time is coming and taking people to Maldives and getting a resort created there and putting exclusive, huts or cabins or something like that, and staying there for a few days will be a possibility. So yes, there are n number of possibilities, and the world is open to you. Of course, what I said earlier, and I may repeat that, initially, because of the fear that people have for any kind of contacting infection, what will happen is people would not like to go far. They would like to stay closer home. And when you say 400, 500 kilometers, yes, whatever can be traveled, as Praveen was also saying, somebody can travel on their own vehicles. Yes, that is possible. But beyond that, even the sky is not the limit to think about it. And yes, you can think about it, but who will be the taker? In tourism, when we teach you at the BBA or MBA level or whatever, MTM level, we also teach you various business principles. Economics is taught to you and accounting is taught to you, and tourism is a business. So we cannot think of a product which may look or very beautiful, or which may sound very beautiful, but may not have the potential to generate revenue. Who will put in money into that? So you have to find out what are such products that have potential to generate revenue and resulting into profits, and accordingly attractive as well. So both of these things, a combination of business acumen as well as imagination, has to be there for the purpose of finding out these alternatives. All the best. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Ji, बताएं.
Ji, sir. Sir, in your opinion, what is the future of tourism education?
सबसे बड़ा खतरा वही है, क्योंकि लोग डरने लगे कि भाई ये पढ़ेंगे तो क्या होगा. We will have to see as teacher,
how we can manage ourselves.
Yes. That was one part. I had kept a paper with me, but could not, just missed it out. And good that you have reminded me of that, and I'll talk about it very briefly though. Restructuring of tourism programs is a necessity. Now, when we say restructuring, still, despite all efforts, most of the tourism programs, unlike the hotel management part of it, is theoretical. So we will have to move away from that theoretical part and bring in more and more practicalities into it, especially from the point of view of skills that are required in people of this industry. Even if I do not have any knowledge about, theoretical knowledge about the tourism industry, and if I possess certain skills, I will be very successful, and I have been very successful. So many examples are there. So I was given a task by my bosses when I was part of administration a couple of years back, to design something futuristic. And what I found out, that there is the need for attitude, skills, and decision-making skills. These are the three, or leadership also. Especially skills, we have heard about this. Leadership, we have talked about it. There are programs which are conducted all over the world. But attitude is always given a little lower this thing, and just a workshop is done on emotional intelligence and so on, and that is all. That is not all. It has to be brought into it, our programs strongly. And decision-making skills, especially from the point of view of collection of data, analysis of data, use of data, financial data for the purpose of predictions, futuristic predictions, and so on and so forth, where again, the tourism students sometimes lack those because they think it is an easy option and we don't have to go into number crunching. Number crunching is an important factor that has to be taken into account for that matter. And that is where the restructuring is required. It is not necessary that somebody goes in for a 2-year MTM program. There should be exit modes also. So if somebody joins an MTM program for 2 years, every 6 months or every semester, whatever you want to call it, there is a possibility of earning a diploma and leaving and going into the industry, earning some experiences and coming back and rejoining the second part or the third part or the fourth part. And that is why when you are restructuring the program, these separate semesters shall have to be designed in a way that they are self-sufficient and they give at least one skill during that, which could be any skill for that matter. So yes, you are very right. It is, the times have gone when we can sit relaxed that yes, last year I have taught the same course, I can go into the class and teach the same course this year. No, as teachers, we have to be very, very vigilant and start looking into this. And as students, their demands will also change, and they must change, because the students should start looking for programs where they can acquire certain skills rather than just the knowledge part of it. Knowledge part of it is available. Now, I've been saying this for quite some time. Knowledge is no more a preserve of the professor. Knowledge is available on a click of a button. Whatever you want, wherever and whenever you want, immediately it is available to you through the internet, through the massive World Wide Web. Everything is there. So I don't have to go. I remember when I used to study in the 80s, late 70s, my professor will come and sit on the desk in front of us, a class of 70, 80 students sitting in front, and start speaking. And keep on speaking for 1 hour and then take attendance and go. Those who are supposed to be good students will sit in the front lines and keep on writing whatever he's saying, every word that will noting down. Next year for the same course, the teacher will come and speak. I would sorry to use this word, vomit the same thing once again and go back. What is this? That time is gone completely. You are not supposed to be speaking in the class just like that. You have to provide skills. You have to measure what the student has learned. So that change. Now, beyond this, I will not discuss because students are also there. Separately, we can talk how to bring about these kind of improvements, and we have to bring about it. And then it will be as good as it is today. It will be as sought after as it is today. And I hope that it will be better tomorrow as far as tourism academics is concerned.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, anybody else?
There was one question in the chat box. It says that will Corona impact the leisure products of tourism? And is there any strategy to get beneficial revenue after Corona?
Yes, of course. That is what we have been talking about. Corona has impacted negatively and the industry is in shock at the moment. But, whenever there is a crisis, the first reaction is shock. The second reaction is to start taking stock, to start taking stock what has happened. And the third is to start moving towards solutions. So at the moment, the industry is in shock and it is moving towards taking stock. Like UNWTO, WTTC, etc., have started giving feedbacks as to what can be done, what has happened. Experts have started talking about it. Then the next stage will be to find out solutions and start implementing those solutions. And some of those implementation of solutions are short-term, some of them will be long-term. And in the short term also, they will be focused towards profit making, and in the long term also, how to have a sustained profitability in the business. Because I may have used this word several times now, we cannot forget tourism is a business. And businesses have to be done for profits. Howsoever whatever we say, we are teachers and we should not talk about, of course we have to talk about it. We are teaching you business. It is an alternative business management that we are teaching you. So everything that is business has to be there for that matter. So keep that in mind. Whoever has asked this question, yes, there is going to be recovery, and you can start designing and thinking in terms, like the cliche sentence is, start thinking out of the box and design newer products. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And don't get disheartened. Just a word of caution once again to every student who's sitting here. Don't get disheartened. See, even after you graduate, there is no guarantee that immediately the next day you will get a job. So there have been students who have waited for 6 months, 1 year for getting a good job that they wanted after doing their post-graduation MTM or BTM or whatever it is. Today, it is compulsorily no job, but after 6 months, 1 year, there may be more jobs because there will be more opportunities that have come out because newer things, newer products would have been there. So today, if we are restricted to about 4 products, tomorrow there is a possibility of 8 products. Some of those areas, any one of you, I mean, I'm talking to the senior teachers sitting here, Anupma and Praveen and Rizvi and others. 20 years back, did we ever imagine there will be a career in travel blogging?
Never.
And today, large number of people are doing this and earning handsomely from blogging. So what future holds for you is entirely unknown, and you are the ones who can mold this future.
So lots of opportunities in blogging, in script writing, web designing, online specialists, virtual tourism, a combination, a hybrid tourism of virtual and destinations. So there are immense opportunities, I think.
Of course.
summed it up brilliantly. And I'm sure these students will pick up on these lines and start preparing themselves for a better career, for a hopeful future.
Yes.
And definitely we have to work in the world which is going to be surrounded by such kind of pandemics and such kind of crisis situations. So probably crisis handling could also be a very, I was just reading about this post-corona voluntary tourism that is going to be organized very soon.
Yes.
So anybody who's into social servicing and anybody who's interested in doing social work and volunteering as somebody who wants to serve the society can go and join these voluntary groups in order to bring back some kind of order into the world that we have recently lost, or the world that has changed.
Very rightly put, because volunteer tourism itself, the concept goes to going into the community and serving the community. Now this can become, this will have another meaning to it, that it is not only serving the community which requires education or sanitation or all that, but may require psychological or rehabilitation out of the crisis that they have come out of, or still facing the crisis. Certainly that will have a big impact and opens another possibility. Yes.
And another input that I can see from the chat box is by Ajit Kumar. He says that they have a course on travel writing too. So travel writing definitely is going to again be the in thing, probably in all the magazines and advertisement designing, poster designing.
Yes. On the net, I mean, you can have your own blog and start writing on that in various ways and start attracting people. One more related to that is YouTubing, So if you can have a 15-minute YouTube presentation on some pictures and talking about some monument and history or something like that you have studied in your courses, create it into an artistic and creative way and put it up there. So there is always a possibility some people who have the knack of presentations may become popular on the net. And of course, writing has a potential, has always had a potential earlier also.
But can we address another question? There is a question by Mahesh Pati Mishra, who has raised a hand.
Please go ahead.
Mahesh.
Sir, namaste. Sir, namaste.
Haji, namaste.
First, I am Mahesh from RMLU. I want to know that, as you mentioned, that tourism will definitely bounce back. So, who will play the most important role in bouncing back on tourism? Like the tourism organizations or academicians or the entrepreneurs who will be the main responsible person?
Industry. See, academicians and the organizations are theoreticians behind. We can tell you the ways, but the doers, the doers are the industry itself. And when I'm using the term industry, I'm talking about separate industries. Travel, air travel industry will devise its own ways how to cope up with it. Hospitality industry will devise its own ways how to cope up with it. And similarly, other attractions will start doing these things. They were the ones.
Can I add one more thing, sir?
Go ahead.
Like everyone is talking about the skills for the academicians, for the students now. So like you have mentioned few skills like a museum or the virtual tourism knowledge. What more kind of raw skills is important for like the most productive results in the upcoming days in the professional world of tourism for the students? Or what kind of raw skills, skills like museum and virtual tourism we mentioned, what kind of extra more things, to stay on the competition?
Yes. Your sound was slightly disturbing, but I could make out what exactly are you asking for. Yes, museums and archaeology, I just gave an example that there are other possibilities also to gain knowledge and skills into that. But the ones that I was talking about from the future point of view, the most important is interpersonal communication skills and personality related skills, because communication is the the key for written communication, like Anupma was talking about writing as a travel writing as a career, or I was talking about blogging as a career, and so on and so forth. That is again communication. And then verbal communication, whether you're doing it virtually on YouTube or wherever. And when you're doing it in the industry also, it has been always those smarter people who have been able to talk their way upwards. So this is important. How confidently knowledge can be or should be communicated. And if you are able to communicate that well, it is one. And that is an important skill. Besides that, this industry is very demanding. Demanding means physically also it is very demanding. You're not getting a 9-to-5 job that you go in the morning, have lunch there in the afternoon, come back at 5. No, you are 24 hours involved into those. Some of you who have worked in the industry would be knowing your passenger is stranded on a remote airport thousands of miles away, and the one person he will call is the person who has made the bookings and reservations, somebody who knows from the industry itself. And so in the middle of the night, suddenly you are woken up, or you are at the airport, or you are at the hotel. 24 hours there is shift. One is a shift work, and second is emergency or contingency works that keep on happening. So those people who are outgoing, those who have good communication skills, and those who are ready to initially, at least the first 5-10 years, put in physical involvement into the industry, these are major skills. Now coming back to museums and archaeology and other kind of skills, yes, these are added knowledge, because they require specialized understanding. And archaeology, for example, just by doing an MTM, maybe archaeology may not be, we deal with it, we're very in a small module somewhere here and there, but we don't talk about it in detail as to how conservation happens, how preservation happens, how excavation happens, how so many other things happen. And these are assets, these are tourism assets. So there is, I have noticed recently that there are several such online skill development programs in which these kind of courses are also there. Besides museums, besides archaeology, there can be a few others also, which could be see photography. What kind of photography of various objects can be done. Now, this is a skill which, as a tourism professional, if we acquire, we can use it online. Your pictures can become sought after if you are a good photographer and you have seen places from different angles and are able to show it across. Then, because there is large number of improvement or advancement that has happened in photography, both still as well as video, for the purpose of virtual tourism and for the purpose of combining artificial intelligence into that. So technology, usage of technology in different forms and formats is another skill that can be acquired. And of course, through small diplomas, through online learning, through whatever it is there. So you can explore. And these are added skills or competencies, I would say, not just skills. These are such competencies which will differentiate, product differentiation. Individuals also have to be differentiated. So if I go for an interview and there are 10 people who have an MTM degree, but only one out of those has added diploma in artificial intelligence or in museology or in archaeology or whatever it is, certainly he will be preferred compared to the rest. So you have to beat your own competition.
Dr. Rana has just quoted a very good example. Dr. Rana, if you could explain this virtual spiritual.
Okay.
Sir, I was just highlighting a very small success story of a team working with BHU, IIT and Entrepreneurship Development Program, and they were working for virtual tourism. And when they were highlighting one of the success story where they have developed a virtual program for a Pindadan ritual. And they have designed in such a way that where the family was performing this Pindadan virtually, their ancestors were coming. And so that they have felt so much the presence of ancestor, the whole family becomes so emotional, and the program was very much successful. Now they are making as one of the most successful virtual this virtual tourism or virtual ride program. So what I was telling to the group, that anything which you have a really bright and new idea will be always and always successful, always and always successful. So if the students are listening, they should focus that whether they want to go for a regular kind of tourism. Of course, that will also come after maybe 6 months or 1 year. The regular tourism will survive, like mass tourism and package tourism, whatever. But if they are scared about the job just now, then they should focus themselves in these kind of new types of tourism. And I was also chatting and giving the example that I was also part of one of the program with, again, IIT people. They were interested. They came to discuss with me that how it is possible to develop a heritage walk without a guide using the GPS and AI enabled technology. So we have done a small sort of program in which a visitor or tourist will carry this Android or iPhone, and by use of several technologies, when they'll reach to the particular location, they should have a real quality content, video, audio, whatever, and without interference of any kind of, whether it is good guide or bad guide or local guide, whatever. So quality content with privacy. So that kind of a new experiment are going on. So I'm just trying to say with those students to develop those skills. What Amitabh sir is saying, that if you have a diploma in artificial intelligence or such kind of technical thing, then only you can think. Otherwise, you cannot imagine that these things are already happening and you will be never a part of that. So that's what I might say.
Yes, yes. Agreed. Yes, very right. Very right.
So do we have there's a question, I think. 2 people have raised their hands. Please address your questions.
Sir, I have a question regarding the cuisine tourism. As street food are the major part of cuisine tourism, so what will be the impact on cuisine tourism because of COVID-19?
Yes, street food has suddenly become, the worst sufferers, and those who are involved in that, I don't know. I mean, the first thing that I do when I reach Lucknow is go to a chaatwala and have golgappas or pani puris or whatever you want to call it. But now everything is closed. So that must have had its own issue. But no doubt it will come back. And cuisine in a different form, as I said, maybe not elaborated too much, but exclusivity will have to be there. Again, taking an example of your own Pratik Hira, who has this exclusive dinner place in his place. Something is there. Yeah. Kokina or something like that. So you will have to create that. And if somebody is interested in that, this is a good opportunity where you can have an outlet, and you will create it, as an exclusive outlet of such kind of cuisine, which is local. Tunde kebab will be made there itself in your outlet, and people will come there and they will be seated separately with all the paraphernalia that is required to be given that kind of food, or dastarkhan बिछा करके बाकायदे उसको पेश किया जा सकता है, और आप दुगना तिगुना चार्ज भी करेंगे उसको, क्योंकि फिर वो मास ज्यादा लोग तो रहेंगे नहीं, तो प्रॉफिट मार्जिन आपको बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. And there is always a possibility of such things. Yes, it is another option how to modify the existing product into a futuristic product. That is important. And again, you can, as professionals, help those street food vendors within your own city, how to be, how to reach people. So if you can make them understand how to hygienically produce it at home, क्योंकि वो घर पे बना करके तो लाके वहाँ ठेला लगाते हैं. For example, अगर मैं लखनऊ का या कहीं का एग्जाम्पल लूँ तो और उसके बाद उसको आप ठेला लगाने के बजाय उसको आप ऑनलाइन बुक करें और ले जा करके पहुंचवाने की कोशिश करें. So there is a
kind of an escort and chef combination. Exclusive chefs, वो chef घर जाएगा, जो भी खाना है for the family, and you can be explaining the culture and things like that. So exclusive business opportunity.
मुझे याद है, I do not know, प्रवीण को शायद पता हो, जो एक वो गंगा पे बजरा की जो राइड होती है, बजरा बिग बोट, उस पे बहुत पुराने जमाने में हमारे फादर वहाँ पोस्टेड थे, मैं वहाँ रहा हूँ कई साल, तो उस पे हम लोग छोटी छोटी पार्टी करते थे. उस पे वो चाट वाले आज अब बुला लिया जाता था और वो 10-12 लोगों के लिए वो राइड भी चल रही है, मतलब हम बोटिंग भी कर रहे हैं और वो खिला भी रहा है प्रोडक्ट. तो अगर आप अंग्रेज, और अभी भी बहुत से अंग्रेज आते हैं या बाहर से लोग आते हैं, जो टूरिस्ट आते हैं, वो इन बजरा राइड्स होती हैं और उस पर छोटी छोटी पार्टीज भी होती रहती हैं. तो ये एक्सक्लूसिविटी आती जाएगी क्विजीन में भी. क्या क्विजीन दे रहे हैं आप, वहाँ की लोकल स्पेशलिटी है, किस तरह से प्रेजेंट की जा रही है, all these will matter. The ambience will matter, the cuisine will matter, the business will matter, several things will matter into that. And yes, you can start exploring into that, right?
So quickly, there are two more raised hands, Praveen Patel and Prakhar Tiwari. So just address your questions quickly.
So sir, my question is that what would be the first sector to make the movement in the tourism after Corona? Would it be corporate sector or would it be FITs as well?
Business tourism, business travel. I will not use the word tourism here. Business travel will be the first to move out. Though because of Zoom and because of Microsoft Team, a lot of businesses are happening virtually. People are meeting across the world. But there may be requirement of people traveling. You know, जो engineers आपको जाना पड़ सकता है किसी factory के या किसी collaboration के point of view से. So initially it will be more business and corporate travel that will happen. Airlines will get that part of business. Rest of it will take time and follow after that. The government will also start moving, official travel will also happen. Just to, in a lighter side, I think Modi ji बहुत दिनों से travel नहीं किए हैं, बंद है. वो भी शुरू हो जाएगा, उनके संग बहुत से लोग भी जाएंगे, तो वो भी शुरू हो जाएगा साथ साथ. These will be the first ones, जो शुरू होगा पहले, और फिर बाद में और तरह का tourism.
Another plus is that with China getting the hit globally from all the countries, India happens to be one of the countries that is going to benefit. So a lot of business travel might happen in India.
Yes. And America is already at loggerheads with China. So there is always a possibility large number of American companies would like to come to India. But the only thing is, we have always been late in these things. And there are a few smaller enterprising countries around China. They may get better benefits like Vietnam and Cambodia and
Taiwan.
Yes. So that is why the government and the corporates both should, they should be hawks. They should try and get the fallout of Chinese territory for India. That is important. Yes. And tourism also, the Orient, as we are combinedly or together we are known as, China and India have always been places of some kind of mysticism, especially for the Westerners. So they may start coming in, and luckily India has not been impacted by the COVID as badly as Europe has, for whatever reasons. There are several reasons cited to that. I'm not a medical expert, so I do not know. But some of the reasons include BCG vaccination, higher immunity of the Indians having faced
The food
chikungunya,
habits, sir.
food
Food
habits, and
habits.
yeah, hygiene habits also, and so on and so forth. So from that point of view, there is a possibility once it starts moving, the Westerners will not be interested in going to China as much as they would like to come to India. This is wishful thinking. Yes.
So I think we'll have the last question from Suyash, and Dr. Suyash, please address your last question, and then.
Okay, fine. So, just a brief of your philosophical take on the fact that what is the role of human element when you try to imbibe a skill into a student? Because I was listening to Sir Raghuram Rajan speaking that, okay, fine, I'm taking Zoom classes, but it is not like the same class that the feeling is not the same when you are out there in the class. So skilling is very important, I believe. Our courses have become a bit obsolete. But जब आप रूबरू होते हैं with the professor, that a feeling in imbibing skill, उसका कितना role देखते हैं sir आप as an academician?
Not only as an academician, but as a interaction के point of view से, I have always been in favor of face-to-face interaction. Online किसी भी किस्म का online बड़ा impersonal होता है. उसमें इमोशंस नहीं होते और कभी-कभी लगता है कि आप you're just taking it for the sake of it. अब कितना blend करना है? Overall teaching, higher education industry भी change हो रही है और change हो जाएगी आने वाले कुछ दिनों में. यहाँ पे आज की तारीख में हमारे UAE में 100% ऑनलाइन क्लासेस हो रही हैं, लेकिन 1 घंटा ऑनलाइन लेक्चर देना is not the right way of doing things. आप वहाँ पे एक छोटा सा 10 मिनट का इंटरेक्शन करिए और फिर उसका टास्क दे दीजिए. अदरवाइज ये तो अजीब सी बात हो जाएगी, हमने तो उठा के बंद कर दिया अपना और या अपनी फोटो लगा दी या म्यूट करके चले गए, पता नहीं उधर है भी कि नहीं है, कौन
ये होता है. We are facing it right now, sir. We are facing this problem.
थोड़ी देर बाद जब आप पूछिए किसी का नाम लेकर के तो पता चले कि साहब वो कहेगा कि साहब माइक नहीं काम कर रहा था या ये नहीं हो रहा था, कुछ भी कह सकते हैं कि किधर क्या हो रहा है, और फिर आप इंटरनेट को ब्लेम कर दीजिए, स्लो स्पीड को ब्लेम कर दीजिए, कुछ भी कर दीजिए. बट बिसाइड्स दैट the larger question, the term that you used, philosophical, is that unless and until हमारी जो पुरानी गुरु शिष्य परंपरा थी उसमें तो और ज्यादा इंटरेक्शन होता था. आप साथ में रहते थे आश्रम में और सुबह शाम गुरु के परिवार से भी इंटरैक्ट करते थे, उनको उन्हीं का बनाया हुआ खाना खाते थे वगैरह वगैरह. एंड दैट इज हाउ योर पर्सनालिटी डेवलप्स. यू लर्न सो मेनी अदर ट्रेट्स ऑल्सो. Here, when it is impersonal, you will only learn that skill or that knowledge which is being given to you. आप behavioral कुछ भी नहीं सीख पाएंगे. So it is necessary, and behavioral is very important. Whatever you say, the world will become virtual. No, the world cannot become virtual. We are more than 7 billion people today in the world, which was less than 2 billion at 1945. तो इतने ज़्यादा लोग हैं, तो कैसे घर के अंदर ही रहेंगे? And we are known as social animals, so we have to be interacting. Means will change. Some kind of interactions will change, but behavioral training can only be possible face to face in a classroom environment. Respect to each other, team building, understanding others' point of view, so many such things that we learn, losing and winning, all this will be lost. See, imagine in a class when you ask some student to answer some question and he doesn't answer. And I'm talking to all students at the moment. Others may start laughing and he will feel a little ashamed. And then next time he may come prepared. Or even if we don't do that, if we appreciate somebody, for example, others clap or others smile, that kind of environment will not be available at all. So how will I know what have I done and how people react to what I say, and how do I move around, what I wear, what I look like? All these things make a difference. So I am all for human, what do you call, face-to-face human kind of interaction as far as classrooms are concerned. How sooner will they come back? In what form will they come back? The term that we are now using is blended. So let it be blending. Some things can be taught online, and most of these behavioral courses will have to be run inside the classrooms. Sweden has started classrooms for schools. Social distancing is being maintained. They understand that. And they are the countries where you have maximum suicides because of loneliness. So they have to bring in people together.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
मुझे तो ये पता है सर कि वोल्केनो के डिजास्टर के बाद हमें ज्यादा अच्छी फर्टाइल लैंड मिलती है।
नहीं, बिजनेस बहुत जितना तेजी से पीछे गया है, मैं आपको बताऊं, उतने तेजी से वापस आएगा। सारे बिजनेस की बात कर रहा हूँ, खाली टूरिज्म की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ। टूरिज्म में हो सकता है थोड़ा टाइम लगे क्योंकि पीपल मूवमेंट है, लोग डरते हैं थोड़ा सा, लेकिन सारे बिजनेसेस बहुत तेजी से आएंगे। और एक कॉन्स्पिरेसी थियरी ये भी हो सकती है, जस्ट इमेजिनेटिव ज्यादा है, कि इसको डिजास्टर क्रिएट किया गया इसीलिए कि इकोनॉमी खराब हो जाए, ताकि फिर प्रोडक्शन और डिमांड दोनों बढ़ेगी एक साथ।
एग्जैक्टली सर।
तो बड़े बड़े लोग जिनका के माल नहीं बिक रहा था, वो चाहते थे कि कुछ दिन रुका रहे मामला, हाँ तेजी से बाउंस बैक करेगी।
जी सर। तो आई होप कि टूरिज्म के अंदर भी ऐसे कुछ होगा।
There are many more questions that are lined up, but I would suggest that I'll share Upadhya sir's email ID, so you can address your question to him directly, because now I'm sure that most of you must be a little hungry with the time. It's almost lunch time, and
मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि उपाध्याय सर का जो एक सेशन और रखा जाए, हमारे पुराने स्टूडेंट को देख करके मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगा। आज अनिल है, जैसे प्रवीण है, महेंद्र है, इसमें इन लोगों को देख करके बड़ा अच्छा लगा। और धर्मेंद्र थे, जैसे
धर्मेंद्र। So I really thank Mahendra Pal, Dr. Anshuman, Dr. Rekha, Dr. Anil, Dr. Praveen, Dharmendra ji for gracing this occasion and giving your valuable inputs along with Upadhyay sir, and of course sir, aapka to matlab you are the legend who has guided us, all of us, most of us through, and
all time favorite है सर हम लोग के,
and all time favorite of all the students. I'm sure all the students who have attended from different colleges, from Lucknow University, from Awadh, from BHU, from Sherwood, hopefully some of them are there, the TTM students. I'm sure they have heard you and benefited, and they will be trying to adopt these new skills that you have given us an insight into, and we will definitely fight back, and the careers and the opportunities are going to rebound, and they're going to be a fresh approach to how to address various tourism issues. And just to conclude, this particular talk that we organized today was a part of the 25th year celebration of the Institute. So I'm so happy to see the alumni also here. And we had started this talk face-to-face in the Institute premises, but obviously because of the lockdown, we could not continue. But this is again an opportunity. We're doing this online. I'm sure that we will be organizing more such talks very soon. Upadhyay sir, you will be the hot favorite, so I think you'll have to think of another session with us because there are quite a few pending questions. And I thank you. The organizing team, in fact, I must mention here, sir, that it was the student organizing team who came to me and they said that, ma'am, we would like to restart the Silver Talks. And it's mainly Anivesh, Ravi and Prakhar, 3 students of the master's degree who planned it out, who gave me the idea of restarting the Silver Talks online. And sir, very soon with a little bit of minor editing, we will be putting this Silver Talk that we had today by Professor Amitabh Upadhya on our YouTube channel. So I'm sure it will be an opportunity for all those who have missed out to once again gain from this particular. And this gentleman here who's on scene, Aldeep Pal, I love your mask.
Thank you.
Mask that you're wearing. And I'm sure this is another innovation that we'll be seeing soon. Designer masks for designer tourists. So this is another opportunity. So I thank all of you for being a part of our Silver Talks.
It was a pleasure. Pleasure was entirely mine. It's after a very long time. For a couple of hours sitting with you all brings back memories and free discussion on the topics that we love most. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to interact and see so many of you. Even virtually, it is as good as, because the cameras are very, very, very good. The internet is very good.
So on the behalf of everyone, can I request everyone to unmute and clap for Amitabh sir and Anupma ma'am together? So let's do online clapping applause.
Thank you so much, sir.
Most welcome. Most welcome. Each one of you can contact Anupma for any kind of guidance that you require from me, and because normally we are in touch, so we can always have. Rizvi also has all the details. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.